Before we start off, right? This has been like pretty much a long break for me. There's been a lot of things which were happening, and some health issues, COVID, and all those things. So I think like I'm getting back on a webinar after almost a back of break of almost a month or so, I guess. So today's agenda is going to be all about the new venture that we have come out with. We are working on. So if you kind of like not seen me being available, if you have seen me like being tied up with stuff and things like that, that's probably because I was working on this venture, and we call it as gear merit, right? So before I get into it, I'll anyways be explaining the complete things to you guys anyways. So now the whole agenda for this is going to be something like I'm going to be explaining about this new business venture of ours. I'm going to be talking about how you could probably like be a part of this venture, right? So this is going to be something like a franchisee model, and if that's the case, then this is something which will give you a low cost entry into the automotive sector, and this is something which can help you with those things, right? So right. So again, before we start, right? I mean, I'm just trying to establish some rapport with you guys, and probably move it forward from there. So just another quick question: Are you like have you been a part of any of my older webinars? Just in case that you have, then I don't have to introduce myself. So just a quick question from that perspective. If you have been a part of my earlier webinars, then you probably know. You probably like known about me. If you are not, I think we have five of them who have not been a part of the earlier webinars. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm Sajid, and I run ReynLab Technologies. I'm the founder of ReynLab Technologies, Series Motorsports, and now this new venture of ours, this is called as Gear Merit, right? So that's basically about me. I am an out and out technical person. I teach at BITS Pilani. I'm a faculty at BITS Pilani, and I also run ReynLab Technologies, which is our edutech company, right? So that's about me. Just wanted to know, like, if you guys are, aware of me. I'm not here to give a full introduction about myself. I think it's past time for that. So that's about me. So I've always been an automotive guy. I've always been passionate about this industry, and one thing has been leading to the other, and you know that startups are all the craze these days, and pretty much anyone out there, they come up with some weird ideas, and they say this is the next big startup. We are going to be the next Flipkart, so to speak. And it has been the case with me as well. I've probably come up with some 20, 30 different crazy ideas earlier, and I always thought that that would basically be the next big thing. There would be a huge market for this, and I've tried out a lot of things earlier like that, right? I've been with but most of it has been with the automotive sector. But one thing, which was always there on the top of my head was that these were not things which were really scalable, right? So what I've been doing is for the last 15 years, I've been doing one venture after the other. And I've probably not taken it public. I've not actually come out and shared it in a webinar or something like that. Basically, because I would say I had not got the perfect business idea so far. So you might think that what about ReynLab? ReynLab is good. ReynLab is good, but what I'm about to talk to you is something which, at least according to me, it has a potential to be a lot more bigger than ReynLab, and it has a potential to involve a lot of you guys, right? A lot of you auto enthusiasts. This is something which will be more inclusive. So, which is probably the reason why I'm here, like. Talking on a webinar to you guys, and it's basically because I just wanted to share this idea of mine, and of course this is also to like pitch my proposal to you, but more than that, it is also for me to get an idea about how good this business proposal actually sounds, right? So I'm here to help you guys start a new business. I'm here to offer a franchisee of my new venture, and I'm also here to ask for your help in understanding this particular business better, right? So there's going to be a mutual give and take. That's basically what we're going to be doing today, right? So now, before we start off, right, how many of you are really excited about the business side of things, right? So most of you would have some kind of a business mentor or a business icon, right? So we all have a favorite sports star or a favorite movie star we look up to. So like that, do you really have any business people that you look up to, right? So there are a lot of different types of business people, and depending on whom you think is your ideal businessman. So this would kind of like tell a lot of things about what exactly it is that you are, and how you basically look at things, right? So at least that has been that has been the the experience with me. So now the question here for you is, whom do you think is one of the most prolific businessmen in the current times? So if you have a different business icon in mind, you guys can just go ahead and put it out in the chat box so that I can I can basically see who is it that you guys follow, right? So now the question is actually a slightly a trick question, right? Um, Trick question in the sense there is no right and wrong answers, but I'm just trying to gauge how you look at things, right? And of course, for me personally, I would say I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk, and I do a lot of things like which he's been recommending. I really believe that this is one of the visionaries that we have today, and the way that he's built business, it is very different from all the traditional businessmen that you've seen. So Mukesh Ambani did not start from scratch, but that doesn't mean he didn't put in the hard work. He did put in the hard work. But Mukesh Ambani's business model has been something which is more on the tried and tested lines, right? So there is a solid business model. You pump in a lot of money, you execute it to perfection, and then you reap the benefits. That's how Mukesh Ambani has been. Richard Branson has, according to me, been always been a one of the earliest risk takers. Um, he's one of the most flamboyant personalities, almost like Vijay Mallya kind of a personality. That's been something on that lines. But I think Richard Branson, after Virgin Atlantic, I don't think like he's galactic, right? Rather, there's not been much that he's been doing. But Elon Musk, on the other side, he's been creating multiple path-breaking businesses. And if you really look at it, right? I really think that at some point of a time they're all interconnected, right? So, which is why I was trying to ask you this. So, if you did choose Elon Musk, then probably like you would agree with me when I say that Elon Musk is someone who's always created businesses that did not exist earlier, right? His way of generating value has always been path breaking. There was not a market for large scale electric vehicle manufacturing before Tesla took over those things. There was not a market for putting up giga factories, like the huge factories where you produce batteries. There was no market for it before Elon Musk did it. The Boring Company is again path breaking. The Neural Link is path breaking. SpaceX is path breaking. So there's quite a lot of things which he's doing, which is kind of like I would say it is new, it is innovative, and therein lies the success, right? So that's basically what I was trying to understand. That's basically what I was trying to talk to you about. So now, one last question before I get into the actual presentation. Um, which of these fields do you think has produced the most number of unicorns? So, unicorn is basically a startup which is valued at 7,500 crores or more, right? It is like if your company's valuation is more than $1 billion, then you're basically called as a unicorn. So, these are companies which are supposed to be like huge. They're supposed to grow in a lot of different ways. So it's okay if you are not aware of it. You could just skip it out. That's perfectly fine, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share my screen, and I'm going to take you through this presentation that I have here, right? So hope this is visible. Um, is this visible for you, or should I go back to the PPT? Okay, so let me stop the screen share. I'll just try to share it from the PPT. PPT might be a little slow, but again, try and test it. So let's stick to PPT. Just give me a second. Is it visible now? Okay, great. Give me a second, please. So if you're not able to see it, probably try just refreshing the screen. I think that should help. If it's not really visible, let's probably like this try refreshing the screen. That should help things out, right? Yep. So yeah, what I'm going to be talking about is a new venture, Gear Merit, right? And Gear Merit is a used car valuations business, right? So now you might think, why exactly do you need a used car valuation business? What really does it really make sense, right? So these are probably like questions which are running through your head, and that's what I'm going to be doing over the next 10 minutes exactly. I'm not going to take more than 10 minutes. Through 10 minutes, I'm just going to explain briefly about what we're going to do. And obviously, if you have any questions, we'll probably like spend some time after that, right? So now, why exactly did I choose the used car market, right? So I chose the used car market because in a lot of different places, the used car market is actually much more bigger than the new car market. It was not the case earlier, but right now in India, it has become that. So used cars, I mean, I think last year we sold 1.5 times more used cars than new cars, and this is supposed to go up to 2.53 times over the next couple of years. I mean, by 2027 it's supposed to be almost triple the size as what it is currently, right? And similarly, if you look at developed economies like USA, Europe, UK, the used car market is probably already 2 to 3 times bigger than the new car market. And I believe this is a very important thing for us to study, because you take any successful businesses, you would see that in a way they had something similar to it in US, and they took that idea and they basically implemented that in India, right? So just think of any successful businesses. The biggest success we have seen, Flipkart, right? So Flipkart is basically a copy of Amazon. You have Ola, which is basically Uber, right? And we probably have some co-working companies here. You have WeWork in the US. So like that, most of the technology startups, right? Most of the I'm not saying all, but most of these ideas, um, investors also look for some validation. And if this kind of a market exists in some other country, then it becomes easy for you to build the same type of business in India, right? And mostly people think that no, you should not copy business ideas. That is wrong. But Ola has been like one of the successful Indian startups. Flipkart has been really successful for them. So it is not just copying ideas. It's basically like you get validation, right? Because most of the time, if you come up with some very innovative ideas, it is probably not existing there because it doesn't work, right? Ola, I mean, Oyo rooms, right? Sorry, yeah. Oyo rooms was a thing like that, where something like that did not exist anywhere else, but they were able to successfully do it. But not a lot of businesses operate like that. And in that sense, right? In that sense, I think India has been very successful with the used car market, and we currently have three unicorn startups operating in the used car market. So these would be your Cars 24. I think it is Spinny and Car Deco. I think these are the three unicorn companies, which means investors believe that these companies are worth around 7,500 crores, right? That's the market value that these companies hold. So now the case in point here is that if you go operate in the same area where all these multi-billion dollar companies are operating, then it means that there is a huge market for it. And a huge market means there is an option, there is a chance for us as well to make some money in it, right? So that's basically why I want you to like look into the used car market. This is something which is huge all over the world, and I sincerely believe that in India we've just started, and the next 10 years it's going to be a huge boom as far as the used car thing goes on. Now, if this is such a big market, do you guys really think it is easy for you to go out there and buy a used car? Right? Do you think it is really easy for you to go? Maybe just type it out in the chat box. If you've had a used car purchase experience earlier, what were some of the problems that you guys basically faced? Right? Purchasing a used car is not without its fair set of problems. I would say going one step more than that, I would say like it is not just facet of problems, it comes with a whole lot of problems, right? So how many of you here have purchased cars from the used car market, right? If you have purchased, maybe like just type out yes. If you have not purchased, type out no. If you have faced some problems, then probably like just type faced problems or something like that. So most of you, you would have probably like had some or the other experiences with the used car market. Maybe you guys were like really good with the automotive side of things, because if you guys have been a part of my earlier programs, it means that you are automotive enthusiasts. So maybe it was easier for you to go buy a car, used car. You could have gone and you could have probably like checked things out. But how many people do you think are really experts when it comes to like checking the condition of a car and purchasing? Even if you do know the entire condition of the car, certain things you cannot test it without actually driving the car for some 1,000 or 1,500 kilometers, because there is purchased, came, turned. Okay, kilometer turned. Okay, got it. Odometer tripping. Okay, right. So there are quite a lot of problems which we face, and some of the more common problems. Right, I've just tried to list the top three problems that you guys would face. So the first one is always about what is the correct price for a car, right? And most of us usually think that if we are trying to sell a car, I would say what is the fair price for my car. I would only like try to look at that, right? And more often than not, what happens is a dealer comes to my house to buy the car, and he says this is wrong with your car, that is wrong with your car, and maybe he sends some 5 6 different guys, and finally I believe yes, something is wrong with my car, and I don't want my buyers to get cheated, so I sell it to him for less than a fair price. Now the dealer takes it, and all he does is he just does some polishing work and all on it, and he would have purchased it from me for 3.5 lakhs. He'll list it for 5.5 lakhs. Now when you go to the showroom to buy a car, obviously the thing on your mind is, if a car is priced at a higher price, then it means it is a better car, right? So we go by this logic. We basically try to link quality of a car with prices, and usually that is something where the dealers take us for a ride, right? It is not just dealers. There are some unscrupulous people as well. I wouldn't say everyone is unscrupulous, but there are a lot of unscrupulous people who basically take you for a ride, and they charge you a premium, and you purchase it hoping that it is really good quality, but it is not good quality, right? So price is not equal to quality. I would probably say that. Now the second thing, how do you trust a seller, right? I have not met you. I have not met you. You want to buy my car. How do we establish that trust, right? So this is where the used car dealers, what they do is they put up swanky showrooms. Cars 24, they say like we are a national brand. We have MS Dhoni, endorsing our brand, which means we are good. I mean, don't you think that that's basically like a wrong connotation? As in, you have a swanky showroom, does it mean that you're a trustworthy person? Which means like one of you, if you're trying to start a new used car business, and if you cannot afford to put up a swanky showroom, does it make you any less trustable, right? So trust is the second parameter which is basically missing in the whole equation, and I believe quite a lot of people get taken for a ride. So I think Mohammed Hussein, you said that you bought a car and the kilometers were turned. So maybe you trusted the dealer, or maybe you trusted the seller to be honest with you, but you probably got taken for a ride. right? And finally, the reason why they probably like turned down the odometer reading is that we believe that the usable life in a car is directly proportional to how less it has been driven, right? So I'll tell you why. So if you see a car with 50,000 kilometers on its odo, you would tend to believe that this car has got a lot more of life left over. So I'll basically go and pay a higher price. But what if this particular driver, he's not done his oil service properly at all, right? He's been driving like left, right, and center. He's been riding the clutch. He's been using bad quality fuel. He's been revving the engine. He's been letting the engine knock. You'll not know anything about it, but he has paka service records. You go to showroom, you check it. It is only done 50,000 kilometers. Will you pay 2 lakhs extra and purchase it, or will you go to someone whose car has done 95 1 lakh kilometers, but he's meticulously taken care of the car? He's replaced oil on time. He's basically like taken very good care of it. And would you basically go and purchase that kind of a car, or will you just closely blindly go and purchase a car just because it has done less number of kilometers? What if the car was flood hit and you didn't know about it, right? So the third thing is, the usable life left in the car. We tend to link that to the odo kilometers, but I believe like that is again a fallacy which we have, right? So everything is not okay with the used car segment. We have rampant problems with these things happening. And so far, right, so far, do you think there is a solution which addresses all of this, right? Do you have you come across, I mean, I'm just asking you, this is not a question for you, I just want your feedback. Have you come across a solution where you can go to a used car market and you can purchase it, and you know that you are getting a very fair price for the car? You know that there has been absolutely like no tampering of things and stuff like that, and you are completely aware of what exactly goes on with the car, right? So everything is kind of like clear and transparent. So are you aware of any such service which exists in the market so far, right? If it is, then probably like that would be news for me. It is just going to be a learning experience for me. Have you come across any kind of a solution which offers this to you, right? And if you think there is no such solution, then I believe like that comes to the second part of the question. Do you believe there is a market for this kind of a solution, right? So I've done my research, I've done this, and I sincerely believe there is a huge market for this, right? And that's basically what Gear Merit is all about. So if you remember, maybe some of you are too young for this, but when eBay was launched, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, 16 years ago, 20 years ago. I would say 15 years ago, probably in India, when it was probably launched in India, right? 15, 16 years ago, we had a huge problem in making online purchases, right? Now, eBay was not Amazon. Even now, if you want to purchase something from US eBay or something, there is a seller sitting somewhere in the US, and you're going to make a transaction with them. So how do you make a transaction, right? You send your money directly to him. You make a bank transfer. He gets the money and runs away. You'll basically not get your product. You get cheated, right? So there was a lack of trust, which prevented eBay from like actually like making it big, which prevented Amazon from actually making it big, which kind of prevented the entire e-commerce from taking off. And the solution which came up was again, it was kind of the mastermind of Elon Musk, who basically came up with this idea of something called as PayPal, right? So PayPal was basically a technology platform which acted as an independent purveyor, independent third party in between the buyer and seller, right? So PayPal would receive your money, and the seller would ship the goods. Once the buyer confirms he's received the goods, the money will go to the seller, right? So there was a third party which kind of lent authenticity, which lent transparency to the transactions, and e-commerce boomed, right? Now imagine the same thing happening with the used car market, right? So that's basically what Gear Merit is going to do. So Gear Merit is a technology platform which will act as an independent third party between buyers and sellers of used cars, right? Very simply, that is what we do. We will act as an independent third party. We will not work with buyers. We will not work with sellers. We will not make money in any car that is being sold. We do not get any commissions. We only take money for our service, which is to provide an independent assessment of used cars. So buyers can use it, sellers can use it, dealers can use it. End of the day, what we do is we will certify a vehicle, right? Yeah, Muhammad Hussein. Yes, there are some places where they do that. I'll come to that, right? So there are some setbacks to that as well. So that's basically what I'm here to explain about, right? So what exactly does Gear Merit do? So I said Gear Merit provides technical inspections, but so far whatever solutions that you have seen, this is all human intelligence. So a human person basically goes there and he checks the car. He has a 150, 200 point checkpoint. He looks for rust and all of those things. And they also can do some paint thickness gauge. They can probably check it out. They can do all that, right? But does that tell you the quality of the engine? Does that tell you how many more kilometers your engine will last? Does that tell you what is the condition of your battery? Does that tell you what is the condition of your high pressure fuel pump? None of those things will be possible with those evaluations, right? So this is where Gear Merit is different. We have the human factor where we'll have technicians going there and doing the evaluations, but apart from it, we also have an artificial intelligence platform, an AI platform which uses OBD, the onboard diagnostics, to kind of understand what is the health of the engine, right? So I will do an OBD scan, a complete scan report. I'll give it to you. Now the scan report will tell you if any errors are already present in the vehicle. That is one thing which anyone can do. You go buy a launch tool for 1.5 lakhs, you can do a scan, you can get it. But what my platform will do is it will tell you if a problem will occur sometime in the future, right? I'll just show you how this works out. I have some pictures of that. So what my platform will do is it will tell you how good is your turbo. It will tell you if your turbo will fail after another 5,000 or 10,000 kilometers. It will tell you what is the internal condition of your engine. It will tell you what is the internal condition of your high pressure fuel pump, your EGR, your exhaust. Is it blocked? Is the engine misfiring? So all of these things which a human cannot look into, which a mechanic cannot look into unless he takes apart the engines, we will be able to do that just by plugging a dongle and going for a simple test drive, right? So that's where we are different. We blend human intelligence along with artificial intelligence, and we provide this solution to buyers, sellers, as well as used car dealers, right? So how does it help a seller? If you have a car which you want to sell, you can get it certified by Gear Merit. And once you have the Gear Merit certification, it becomes easy for anyone to purchase the car without even doing a test drive, because we are an independent third party and we don't take anyone's sides. Whatever is there in the car, we list it as it is. So which means you might be sitting somewhere in Delhi NCR, you might have a buyer calling you from Bangalore, and the person from Bangalore can trust you and go there and buy the car, because it is basically been certified by Gear Merit. So we remain that independent third party. We help buyers, we help sellers, and even for dealers, if they want to kind of standardize their business, we will do an evaluation of their inventory. So any dealer you walk into, if it has a Gear Merit badge, you can go check it out. And if it is basically like certified, it means it is what it is, right? We will not basically like cut corners. We will not try to pass a bad car as a good car. Maybe a dealer will try to do it because like he needs to sell that car off, so he might tell you that this is good and he might try to push it off. But what we will do is whatever cars we evaluate, it is done completely automatically. We don't have any human intervention in it, and whatever report comes, it is true, right? There is no question of trying to like change the report after it comes out or anything like that. It is basically going to remain independent, right? So that's basically what we have built. We have this solution ready with us, and this is basically what we are bringing to the market. Now, for you to get an idea about as a business, right? As a business, how big can it get, right? This is how big the whole market is, right? So in India, we sold around 3.8 million used cars in 21, which is 38 lakh used cars, right? Whereas the new cars in that time was only about 10 to 12 lakh new cars which were sold. The same thing if you compare it with Middle East, you compare it with Europe, you compare it with US. US is one of the biggest markets out there, and that's about 40 million cars, which means almost 4 crore used cars are being sold every year in the US, which means this valuation business, it has got repercussions not just in India, but there are options for it to expand beyond India as well. And there is a huge, much more larger scope for this, not just in India, but if you are interested, then there is a huge scope for this in the Middle East as well, right? So the GCC, the Gulf collective countries, that's the market that we have in mind. So we have plans of launching it not just in India, but GCC as well. And once we have this all set right, then we probably have plans of expanding to other European Union or probably to the US, one of these countries as well. Now, one of you were telling like you do have centers like this in the big cities where these already happen. But if you can pay attention to this particular graph over here, 75% of the used car sales happens in non-metros, which means it would be physically impossible for even a $1 billion worth company like Cars 24, or even if Reliance decides to come into the market, it would be physically impossible for them to put a workshop in all of the non-metro areas to target all these cars, right? So the 38 lakh cars, roughly about 75% of it sold in the non-metro areas, which means you don't have to worry about an established business coming there and operating, because there is no chance they're going to get into all these non-metro smaller areas, right? So which is again where I think our franchisee model works, because it's very, very, very light. It's kind of mobile. So which means we have a much more better chance of capturing, even if we do capture the non-metro market alone, we'll never have to fight against the big established guys, and we have a huge market there as well. And if you really think, will customers actually pay for this service, then again, the second graph over here, the bar graph, this shows that 65% of them had taken a mechanic along with them to basically like evaluate the car, and roughly about 35% of them had taken an expert to go evaluate the car, which means anywhere between 35 to 50% of the people are already using some kind of an evaluation means. And if we can establish the trust with them, then basically the number of cars which we can technically evaluate, right, assuming the numbers remains the same, is somewhere close to 10 lakh cars, right? 10 lakh cars is the number of cars which we can evaluate, and all you'll have to do is work out like 1,000 rupee per car bare minimum revenues we make. You can kind of imagine how big a market, or potentially how big a turnover we could be making with just the used car valuation. I'm not asking you to buy a car and sell a car. I'm just asking you to valuate whatever car happens. So wherever it happens across the country, we are there with a service, and we start offering them this kind of a valuation, right? So yeah, that's basically the market validation. And similarly, if you are thinking of what is the numbers which we could achieve, I said 75% and 50% of the people are actually looking at it. We would have somewhere close to 11 lakh cars that we can do in India alone, right? So 11 lakh cars, just try to wrap your head around it. That is almost close to some 150 to 200 crores of business which can happen in just India alone. And we are not talking about India, we are talking about the Middle East as well. And Middle East again is a huge market, right? So the whole point of this is, you might not be like doing 100 crores of turnover, but basically wherever that kind of a possibility is there, even if you are achieving just 1% of that particular target numbers, it becomes a very remunerative business for us, right? It becomes something where we can actually go make money, because ultimately the goal of any business is to go out there and make money. And in order for you to understand if you would actually make money, you should actually have this kind of a market size in there, right? And how exactly does this happen? right? What is the customer journey? So basically, what happens is a customer decides that he wants to use a service. He will go to a website or mobile app and he'll request for a booking, and he'll make a payment on the app. And our franchisees, which is basically either yourselves or you have a technician who works for you, they would probably reach that particular place on a two-wheeler or something. They'll do the evaluation, they'll plug in the device, they'll do a test drive, they'll run the entire report, and all the technical details, everything gets stored in our centralized server, and from there it gets delivered to the customer through a blockchain, right? Why a blockchain? Because you don't want someone tampering with your report, right? So which means we'll not print out a report and give it to them. It will be stored on the blockchain, and a hash algorithm will generate a link and send to the customer. So anytime the customer wants to use it, he can download it from there. Or if the customer wants to list his car on Quicker or OLX, he can just list it out and he can put this unique code underneath. So now a buyer can just go there and he'll say, okay, it is Gear Merit certified. He'll go click on that link and it will give you the entire history, right? So which means it becomes easy for buyer and sellers to trust each other. Transparency is there, because we don't just look at the car's exteriors and interiors alone. We actually go into the engine as well, and I will be able to tell you, is the engine really good on a scale of 10? How good is an engine? So anything 7 and above is good for you to purchase. If it is between 5 and 6, 5 or 6, then it means that you are looking at some kind of repairs to happen in the future. If it is less than 5, basically means the car has got a major repair coming up. So you can probably be either mentally prepared for it, or you can probably say, no, I don't want to buy this car. We can probably like skip it, right? And this is basically how the reports come up, right? I told you that there is absolutely no human intervention. You plug in the OBD, you take it for a test drive, and look at what happens. This the first case here, I think 333, that's a Jaguar XF. It says battery is good, RPM oscillation is good, but the combustion pressure is bad, right? If the combustion pressure is bad, it means that the engine is run a lot of kilometers. It has it's lost its compression, and the engine is actually worn out, right? So which is why now if this car says it is done only a lakh and 33, I would not believe it, because a Jaguar at a lakh and 33,000 kilometers will not show this kind of a behavior. So now I can understand this car has been tripped, and I'm getting a score of 2, and I would probably not go and purchase this car. Now, second point, this is a Mercedes-Benz A-Class, right? I'm using these premium models because it's more difficult to diagnose problems with this, but the same thing applies to regular cars as well. So now this car I test drove, the car was absolutely fine, and I was getting it for about a lakh and a half less than the market price. So I was happy. I thought, should I go buy this car? And then I decided, anyways, let me go and probably run my diagnostics on it, and this tells me that the turbocharger is bad. I drove the car, I couldn't notice that the turbocharger was bad. It was boosting perfectly. But what my artificial intelligence algorithm is telling me is that the boost is not uniform, it is spiking, right? If the boost is spiking, then there are only two reasons. One, either the car has been remapped and it has been very badly remapped, or the turbocharger is gone. I checked with the owner, the car has not been remapped. I have a remap tool, so I just plugged in the tool. I just got the map out. I checked. I found out the car was still stock. The owner, anyways, did tell me the car was stock, which probably means that now my turbocharger is gone. Now, to replace the turbocharger, it's going to cost me about a lakh and a half, which means my whole assumption that I was getting this car for 1.5 lakh rupee less is probably not true, right? That 1.5 lakhs I saved on the price of the car, I'll have to pay for the turbocharger, and I'll have to pay for the battery. But now I am mentally prepared, because right now my budget was only about 8 lakhs, and I could buy this car for 8 lakhs. And turbo, of course, is going bad, but I know that this will take another 10-15,000 kilometers to go bad, which means in another 1 year's time I can mentally prepare myself. I can probably save up that 1.5 lakhs. I can replace the turbo, right? I am knowing that this car is bad, and I'm knowing that I'll spend another 1.5, and then I'm going and purchasing it, right? That is the transparency that I was dealing with. I'm not in for a surprise when suddenly the turbo has failed, and then I'm like, no god, I bought it for 8 lakhs, now the turbo is gone, I'll have to spend another 1.5, right? I mean, I'm not in that mental state, I'm more prepared for it, right? So that's basically what this kind of gets us. And regarding how we are getting into the market, we are like doing centralized direct to customer marketing, which means from the central headquarters we are putting together a really good team who can do the digital marketing, right? Which includes content marketing, influencer marketing, affiliates, and all those stuff. Apart from it, we also have the offline channels where we'll be first tying up with partnerships. So we have a couple of people in mind. We tie up with them, so they kind of drive business for us. And the next one is obviously to go whichever city you are in. If you are getting a franchisee there, you basically go there, talk to the dealers, have a tie up with them, and we basically start driving business through them as well, right? So we are trying these things out in Coimbatore and in Chennai. We are doing some small pilots, but we'll be kind of like finalizing this. We'll be making it into a lot more better model once we have some franchisees on board as well. Now, coming to competition, we do have certain platforms like Cars24 and Spinny who have something similar. Workshops can do a similar job. They can put a car and they can kind of test it out. But when it comes to prognostics, right, when it comes to using artificial intelligence to get those reports, we really don't have any competition here, right? So that is something which is our unique proposition. No one else has it, which means if someone wants it, they have to come to us. But that doesn't mean that I'm so arrogant that I'm believing people will come to me just because I have that. I am kind of like believing that people will come to me because I'm going to be present. This brand is going to be present pretty much all across India, right? We're going to have 1,000+ franchisees all across India. So anywhere, any corner of the country, anyone wants a service, we're going to have people who can basically go there and do it. So that's basically yes, I mean, the questions, Shaktivel, if you could just put it in the questions tab, I'll just come back and probably like take that, right? So I don't miss your question. It helps me not break the, the flow when I'm talking, right? So please post it on the questions tab. I'll come back and answer your questions, right? So what is the competitive advantage that we have? We don't have such a solution in the market right now. There is no pan India solution which offers this kind of a service to customers. It does not exist in India. It does not exist anywhere else. So that's the number one advantage we have. Second thing is we have these technologies which are patented, right? We have, I mean, it's not self-developed, but we have some partnerships with some companies, and this is their patented technology, which means a third party coming up with a similar thing is not going to happen. Which means we start in India, we go to Gulf, we grow. It is we still have that kind of a protective moat around us. We get to grow without having too much of a competition. And third thing is scalability, because we have all of these things in a digital format. Now the same thing, if you want to operate in 10 different cities, it is just a matter of you recruiting 10 people and sending them to me. I'll train them, I'll give them the equipment, and I'll deploy them back in those cities within a matter of like 2 to 3 weeks, right? That's how scalable we are, and that's basically the competitive advantage which we have, apart from the fact that we do possess some patented technologies. Now, how does this business opportunity works for you, right? So now here comes the big question. And before I go into it, just for me to understand, how many of you would probably be like interested in this, right? So if you are someone who are here with some idea of starting a business, right, this could be either your main business, or you could basically like continue doing whatever you're doing. You could have it as your side business as well, right? So this is something which works on those lines, right? Just an honest opinion from you guys, so that like we can probably have some better understanding about what exactly is going on, right? So how does this whole thing happens? So it's basically like a one-stop shop for you guys looking to start an automotive business. These days, any basic business, automotive business you start, you're looking at an investment of nothing less than 5 to 10 lakh rupees. You want to start a remap business, you're looking at 5 lakhs for the tools plus another 5 lakhs for your, your facility setup and things like that. Whereas with this, the franchisee fees, the amount that you pay is much more lesser than what you would spend on that. In fact, it is much more lesser than what you would pay for a detailing shop. That's the kind of targets we had, and that's basically what we are working with as well. And what you do is you make a single payment, you sign up the document, you sign up as the franchisee, and the second step you do is you come down for your training. So you could either come down yourself, or you could nominate one of your workers. You could ask them to come down, and we'll do a 1 month intensive training for them on the technical as well as non-technical things, because there's a customer facing role. Your technicians will be talking to customers. We'll be teaching them not just the technical side of things, but also how do you talk to a customer. If a customer gets angry, how do you handle them? How do you make a sale? How do you market yourself? So basically there's going to be a whole lot of soft skills also which we put into it, and we kind of package this training. I would say like this is something which as franchisee owners you should do it, and you could also send one more worker along with it, so it basically helps you acquire those skills as well. And once that's done, you go to the market, you start like deploying this, right? And again, deployment is going to be a really easy thing for you, because marketing and sales happens at the centralized location, which means all you do is every day you get orders, you go there. The average billing we have is around 2,500 rupees. That's inclusive of your GST. That's the minimum billing that we do, right? So typically it varies somewhere between 1,000 rupees to about 4,500 to 5,000 rupees. But assuming on the worst case scenario, we make just 2,500 rupees, right? Your revenue share would be 1,000 rupees for every vehicle that you do. And assuming that again, a worst case scenario, we do just one car in a day, which is again like, pretty much on the worst side of case scenarios, because our estimate is that every franchisee should be able to do about 80 to 90 cars in a day, right? But again, assuming we are just doing 30 cars in a day, you would still have earnings of close to about 30 to 40,000 rupees each month, right? And this is basically something where this is almost the amount of effort you put into it is zero. You have someone, you just send him out, you go do the work, and whatever your revenue share is, it basically gets credited to you at the end of every billing cycle, right? Because it is highly automated, this does not need too much of manual intervention from you. But ideally, if you are someone who's looking at doing this business on your own, then that basically becomes an extra thing for you. So you spend 1 or 2 hours every day and you get these things done, and that's basically how it works, right? So what is it that we are offering you, right? So the franchisee fees that we have in mind is 3 lakh rupees plus GST, which would work out to 3 lakh 54,000 rupees, right? Unfortunately, this has to be GST. It is not excluding GST. I mean, it cannot be without GST. It comes under the GST bracket, right? But everything said and done, what happens for you is this 3 lakhs gets you a franchisee rights for the next 2 years for whichever city that you choose. And you also have the first right of refusal, which means, say, like you are from Coimbatore and you've got a franchisee for Coimbatore. And now, if Coimbatore needs one more franchisee, then again, the first option will be for you. You can choose to have one more. So basically, you get to build your own business. It basically grows on your own. Or you can also choose not to take it up, in which case we'll probably get someone else. Now, what does this money get you? So the first thing is it gets you all the technical tools that's needed for it, right? So you get a scan tool, you get our artificial intelligence platform, you get all the subscriptions free of charge for these tools. You get your carry cases, you get your uniforms, you get your consumables, you get your training, pretty much everything that you want to basically get forward with the business that comes with it. The second thing which you get is you don't have to go and you don't have to go there and get the dealers yourself. You don't have to get the business yourself. The marketing and sales, it happens from a centralized location. So for the next 2 years, you are not worrying about running a digital market campaign. You're not worried about will I get business or not. Business is guaranteed through our centralized marketing and sales effort that is available for you for the next 2 years. And apart from it, for the initial franchisees, until we hit maybe 50 or 60 numbers, we will provide a complete end-to-end offline support as well, which means one of our team will visit your location wherever it is that you are. We will help you go out, we'll help you go meet the dealers there, we'll help you talk to them, we'll help you establish contacts, which means if you are telling that, hey, I'm not a business person, I don't really know how to go talk to these people, you don't have to worry. First of all, we'll train you. And even after training, if you think that you're not able to go there and do it, our team will come there, visit there. They'll stay with you for a week or 10 days, and they'll help you reach out to all these people, establish business relations, and then they'll move over. Right. So basically, what we do with the franchisee model is we handhold you completely through end to end. We do that. And in return for whatever it is that we do, we have a revenue share of 50-50, right? So 2,500 what we charge, 2,000 rupees is what comes to us after GST. 1,000 rupees goes to the franchisee, 1,000 rupees to the franchisor. The 1,000 rupees that goes to us basically goes back again into building more sales and marketing effort. We are not in this business to actually make a profit for ourselves, which means I'm not looking at making profit for myself. I'm not trying to do that. There will be cases where we will even offer a 50% discount on the price for the customers, right? So which means certain points of time, like if I want to drive the business in your city, I'll give a 50% discount, which means I'll say I don't want a share in the revenues, you take the entire share, but I want more customers to come on board, right? So this basically happens only if we have more customers joining in, and this basically will work only for, I believe the number what I have in mind is initially for about some 70 to 100 franchisees is what we are planning to open up. Not more than that, though I do have a numbers of around 850 to 1,000 pan India. I don't want the entire thing to go as franchisees. Only the first few would be franchisees. The rest of it would be company operated outlets. So basically, areas where it is not profitable, I will not want franchisees to go there. We'll probably have company operated stores. Now, why is this limited? Because we want to make sure that we have value which is being given to the franchisees. I don't want to take a city like say Coimbatore and give franchises for 40 different people, and all 40 people like fighting in the same area, no one makes money. I don't want to do that, which means I want to limit the number of franchises I can give. I want to give franchises only to those areas where it's going to be profitable, right? Second thing, the faster we move, the more results we get, the more money we get to make, the more grounds we get to cover, right? So which is again why the franchisee offer is there for a limited period. And finally, like the faster we get all these things together, the better it is for you to pursue your own dreams and financial freedom, right? So this is basically what we are coming up with, right? And this is basically like what we are offering to you guys, right? So if this sounds interesting, right, if you think that this is something which is interesting, if you would like to probably like discuss about this further or something, then what happens is you can go ahead and fill up this Google form which you have shared in the chat box. Just click on it. It's there on the chat box for you, and this would probably allow our team to get back in touch with you with more details on how we can take this forward, right? But one thing, believe me, my goals for this, my plans for this is to make the next unicorn as far as the automotive technology goes. So for those of you who are from the engineering side of things, we are talking about connected cars, we are talking about cyber security, we are talking about prognostics, we are talking about machine learning led diagnostics, right? So these are all the catchphrases, these are all the technology of the future, and that is basically where we are going to be working, right? Just because it is connected cars doesn't mean like we can directly go build connected car applications. It is through these kind of means that we basically build it, right? So this is basically what we have here. So any questions you guys have, we would probably be able to take your questions right now. So the first question from Praveen, can we do that survey for motorcycles as well? Yes, pretty much any IC engine we will be able to do it. And the artificial intelligence platform, it would work for fuel injected bikes. Older bikes, it will not. But yes, for fuel injected bikes, it will. But again, Praveen, like what I would suggest is my experience, business experience is whenever we are doing it, if we do it for a car, then basically get to make much more money, right? So for the same amount of time that you spend, if you do it for a car, you make much more money. But of course, if this happens to be a imported bike or something, yes, you definitely will make money irrespective of that as well. So Shaktivel, will working employees suit the business model? It is being designed to suit working professionals as well. So all it means is that you need to have a trusted person whom you can trust to run this day-to-day operations. You just have to probably like nominate him to come down for the training. We will train him. We will put him there. Now the important thing is there is no way this employee can cheat you, right? He cannot go do an evaluation on his own and take the money because he will not get any reports in his hands. Whatever report is there, it will come into our server, and from our server, it will go to the customer only if the money has already been collected, right? Which means if you have a person for it, he goes into the market, he even goes and does some scanning, basic scanning he does, and he's collecting 1,000 rupees. We will get a complete scan report of where he went, which car he did, what time he did, what was the error codes, all of those details, it will come to us as a report. Now, if that was not something which the system had cleared for, then automatically as business owner, you will get a message saying unauthorized use of the device. Someone is doing scanning, and you can just call up your guy and you can ask him what is it that you're doing, right? And the moment we have these kind of checks in place, it becomes easy for you to run multiple such businesses, which is basically what we want to do, right? So we want to kind of use this as a wealth creation opportunity for you. So you want to go ahead, you want to have 5 franchisees here, 5 in the Middle East. You can do it, and rest assured, you know that whatever money is coming in, you will have complete track of what comes in, what goes out, and you would be able to manage your business with just spending half an hour or 1 hour every day going through the accounts. Abdul Imran, only scanning is provided, which will give details about electronic modules. Do we have car body and other parts? Okay, Abdul, like basically, like there are two things what we do. So first one is we give you training on identifying the entire body parts. How do you identify rust? We give you tools to identify rust. We give you training on identifying flood affected cars, rat bites. So we'll give you all those training. That is part one. You have a checklist, you go there, you kind of mark out each checklist, you will fix all those problems, you'll be able to get that. Second thing, we'll give you a scan tool which will do electronic fault diagnostics. That is second thing. Third thing, we'll give you an artificial intelligence tool, which is again an OBD tool. You plug it in, ask the owner to do a test drive. You don't have to do a test drive. You ask the vehicle owner to do a test drive. It will tell you what is the internal condition of the engine. So we cover exteriors, interiors, electronic faults, engine faults. We cover the entire spectrum of things. The basic investment and how many employees do you need to run a franchisee? You would be looking at an investment of 3,54,000 rupees. That's the franchisee investment, and you would need one single employee with a bike to run the business, right? So apart from this, you would be looking at maybe a bike for the employee, right? And maybe like initial like 1 month of salary for him. So basically, if you have somewhere around 4 lakh rupees, you are good to run with this business, right? You have a G-Scan 3. How will this tool? See, the OBD scan tool will do the same thing as a G-Scan. Now, the problem for me is if I'm giving a G-Scan, how much did it cost you to buy the G-Scan? Somewhere about 1.5 lakhs, right? So now you do that, and I have a marketing budget of somewhere close to about 10 to 15K each city for a month, right? So which means I'll have to be spending at least somewhere close to about 2.5 lakhs over the next 2 years on the marketing and sales side of things. So if you really look at it, if we go for an advanced scan tool like G-Scan or something like that, or a launch or an Outel, it will not be able to, we will not be able to kind of bring in the cost of the franchisees to under 3 lakhs, which is basically the type of, the thing I had in mind. So anyone can go apply for a Mudra loan, which comes like basically like free of cost from the banks. You go there, apply for a Mudra loan, you get a Mudra loan, and you can start this business. That's basically what I had in mind. Now, the second thing is, if you have a G scan, you give it to your employee, and if the employee runs away with the tool, you basically lose your 1.5 lakh rupees, right? Or he goes and he does scans for multiple vehicles without telling you, you lose money there. So my tool, it has got a cloud-based control, which means I'll be able to track what every single employee is doing, which means it'll be easier for me to manage. And second thing, it is much more cheaper than Launch and Gscan, but the amount of work it does, it's basically the same. It does the same work, right? That's basically how this is different, right? So I don't think I don't. So don't you think the code 6% in the cities would be able to eat all the market with this new idea for rather than local service center? Yes, Code 6. Yes, definitely. Yes, I am part of Code 6. Code 6, we do it. But again, Code 6 is not present all over the country, right? So you have one in Cochin, and suppose we have 20 cars which we need to do in a day. Now, a customer cannot take his car and bring it to Code 6 and get it done there. Whereas you want to go to a dealer and you want to kind of test drive it, you just give us a call. We'll have one of our people come down and do it, right? So the whole point here is we want to help new students, basically students become entrepreneurs. We want them to make some money for themselves. We want them to start businesses without having any of the risk associated with traditional businesses, which is basically why we built this kind of a model. If ideally we wanted to go with everything on our own, then we would not be opening up franchisees. We will go with our own stores. We would raise money because this, I'm pretty sure I can raise quite a lot of investments for this. I will raise investments anyways. I can raise investment. I can do it myself. But the whole idea of the brand Gear Merit is that it has to be a network of very close people, right? I might not know you now, but you become a franchisee. We become part of the same family, and the whole idea for the brand is to help every single person grow. So it doesn't really matter which city you are in, whether you have experience, you don't have experience. It gives you an opportunity to grow. That's basically what we are trying to build, right? Um, do infrastructure needed to start a franchisee? Nope, you don't, Tom. That's the whole idea of it. You don't need to have a workshop. You don't need to have any other experience. Nothing else is needed. All you need to have is, have a bike and just a place to park the bike in the night, and that is all that you need. Everything else you need for it is basically coming up. And this is basically a business where you offer doorstep servicing. This is a mobile servicing, so you don't have a shop, you don't have a shop rent, you don't have shop advance, you don't have to work on your shop interiors. Nothing of that sort is needed. But if you already have a workshop, then you could have it as a part of it. But every time still, if a customer does call, you will have to go to the customer's location and then service them, right? So this is a mobile first servicing, which means you go to the customer's place and you service it. And again, it is being built that way because we don't want you to unnecessarily invest 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs on a building advance and then do the interiors. It's not going to work out, right? It is expensive. Maybe it works on small cities, but if you come to Chennai or you go to New Delhi, you get a 500 square feet shop, you will probably be paying 40,000, 50,000 rupees in rent, right? Which doesn't really make sense. So, which is why we have this kind of a business model. It is very low on assets. It is portable. If you have taken franchisee for a city, it is not working out. If you want to shift to a different city, you are always welcome to do that as well, right? That's the advantage that you have with this. You are kind of like flexible, and you have much more better chance of getting your money back than by any other means necessary, right? Super. So I think that kind of brings us to the end of the session. Anything